Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Math with Dr. War. Today, I have a statistics and probability video on correlation. This is a medium emphasis topic on the TASC test. Before we begin, I have a few vocabulary terms. Now, the first term is a scatter plot, and it's basically a graph where you have points being plotted to show a possible relationship between the two sets of data. We use scatter plots as an effective way to display some types of data, which means not all types of data can be displayed effectively on a scatter plot. Now, when you're given a scatter plot, we talk about correlation. Another word for correlation could be association. So a correlation describes a relationship between the two data sets. Now, a graph will show the correlation between the data, and the correlation helps us analyze trends and also make predictions. There are three types of correlations. You have a positive correlation, a negative correlation, or no correlation. A positive correlation is when you have both sets of data values increasing. So notice here, as the x values increases, the y values increases. So if I drew a line in the direction of my points from left to right, notice that your points are going uphill. And notice most of them are clustered together. So this looks like a positive slope. So this will be a positive correlation. That's the way I think about it. Now, a negative correlation is when you have one set of data points increasing, such as the x values, but then you have another, which is our y values over here, decreasing. So again, look at the direction your points are being plotted, and if you go from left to right and I have to draw a line, notice that this is going downhill. If you're going downhill, that means that would be a negative correlation. Now, no correlation means that your data points are just all over the place. They're just scattered. So there's no relation between the data sets. Now, let's look at some questions that you may see on your TASC test. Now, in this first question, it says the scatter plot below shows the average number of customers who visit a food truck per day, depending on the number of days the food truck stays in the same location. So notice, once you see all of these dots, you know that you have a scatter plot. On the x-axis, you have the number of days in the same location, and the y-axis is the number of customers. Now, I look to see the direction that my points are going, and you look from left to right, and I notice that they're all going uphill, and they're all kind of clustered together. Now, if they're going uphill, we know that that's a positive slope, which means the x values are increasing and the y values are also increasing. And you can check that. At 4 days, you had 20 customers. Now at 20 days, you have 55 customers. So notice, as the number of days increase, the number of customers increase. Now the question being asked is, which statement best, notice that's bolded, describes the association between the number of days the food truck is in the same location and the number of customers who visit the food truck per day. Now we know that it's a positive slope, so our answer would be C. There is a positive linear association. Let's call this question 2. What kind of correlation would you expect from the ordered pair? So notice what they're comparing. A student's hair color to a student's college grades. Would that be no correlation, negative correlation, positive correlation? None of these. Now, a student's hair color does not provide evidence of a student's college grades. So hair color has nothing to do with college grades. So the answer here would be no correlation. Whether you're a redhead, a blonde, that does not depict your college grades. Let's look at number 3. What kind of correlation would you expect from the ordered pair? So what are we comparing? A student's score on a math test and a student's high school grades. You have to think about the situation. We're talking about a student's score on a math test and a student's high school grades. Now, if you're in high school, the aim is to graduate and then go to college. And in order to get into college, you have to have good grades, which means this would be a positive correlation. So as your grades on the math test increases, okay, guess what's going to happen to your high school grades? They're also going to increase. Last but not least, number 4. Would you expect a positive correlation, a negative correlation, or no correlation between the number of minutes a candle burns and the height of the candle? Talking about a candle. So here is our candle. This is the height. And then as the candle burns, the time is going to increase. Now, as the time increases, what happens to that candle? Does the height continues to increase or does the height decrease? Now, because it's a candle and it's made of wax, as the time increases, the candle will start to shrink. This would be a negative correlation because you started out with a tall candle, but as you light the candle and it continues to burn, the number of minutes is increasing. So one of these is increasing while the other begins to decrease. Whenever you have that situation, you have a negative correlation. I hope this lesson has been helpful. Good luck on your TASC examination.